NBA Straya, how are you going? How you going? I hope you're right. You should be. Why is that, Jim? Well, it's hump day, Wednesday, Jan 15, all day. And of course, I'm your host, James Clements. You can see my ugly mug on the panel, the official NBL Supercoach show. There's a good one today with Mick Randall and Kels. Go check it out. The AFL Today show is coming back very, very soon. NFL Straya. Yesterday's show went up and it was very, very fun. Get around them all. I'm here in Larry Arm Studios. We were meant to be in the fancy studio today, but I didn't want to screw up the racing setup they had, so I didn't trust myself there. Either way, feeling good, feeling great. Another quick show today because we had we had 7 games, a bunch of the Aussies in action as well, but a couple of cracking games in there too. But we'll dig into that. There's nothing else really other than sort of the Jimmy Butler saga stuff and couple of injury updates that we'll get into. But, as per usual, we'll do the game wraps. We'll do That's Not a Knife, Old Mate, No Mate, Spud of the Night, Better Than Lonzo Ball. We'll do Your Nars and Whiskey. I said to him, unpopular opinion of the day. And OUTBACK TAKEHOUSE. Anyway, there's also an Andrew Goes Great Mummer Award for outstanding achievement in the field of excellence. And we'll do a great moment in NBA Straya stat history, featuring friend of the program, Chris Anstey, which is always good. And there's a big set of games tomorrow, so huge array of game previews at the end of this one. So we'll dig into them all, eh? Sound good? Yeah, bloody good, eh? All right, episode 1186 of NBA Straya. I believe the phrase is, let's go!
This is Josh Giddey.
G'day, this is Andrew Gaze.
This is Jack White.
This is Joe Ingles.
This is Darcy Daniels.
This is Chris Anstey.
This is Matthew Delvedova.
This is Shane Hill.
Hi, this is Ryan Brockhoff.
This is Mitch Creek.
This is Nick Kay.
You're listening to NBA Australia.
And you're listening to NBA Australia.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening and watching NBA Straya.
This is NBA Australia. Let's do it.
Watch out for the Shaq attack.
Wow, you're better, especially if you're every other team that doesn't have Jam and Jamal Murray, I guess, because Shaq was like, if it plays like this, along with Westbrook and the Joker, they will be champions. Shaq's just dropping that at halftime as Denver wiped the floor with Dallas today. But yeah, let's get into it with the daily. It's a whip around as a gym. Yes, that's how we start every show here, isn't it? Kyrie was actually back for that game as well. Always fun. Derek Lively actually went out with an ankle sprain, but Kyrie missed 5 games with a bulging disc in his back. The Mavs went 2-3 in that little thing, and now they lose pretty drastically to Denver today. Lose by 19. A bit of a rough one. But you get that on the big jobs, don't you? Probably. Either way, good to see him back. Other news, Jimmy Butler apparently told Pat Riley face to face, get me out of here. I hate you. I hate you, old bastard. Well, it's pretty interesting. So he's finally told him face to face that he wants to be traded and won't sign a new deal with Miami. And some of the interesting little tidbits out of it were that he'd been pretty peeved about the fact that they'd traded a bunch of his mates, and also all the other contenders were being very aggressive, and like Miami only added Thomas Bryant and Josh Richardson. Thomas Bryant and Josh Richardson reading that are like, come on, man. Like ow. Yeah, but he wasn't stoked that they traded they let Caleb Martin leave and stuff like this, and he's just like, bro, none of my friends are here anymore. Everyone's like, yeah. So he felt that he had to do the impossible. And that annoyed him. And he was also apparently annoyed that the way that they were playing, going into training camp, didn't fit his play style while he was trying to get paid again. Well, that speaks to pretty great culture, doesn't it? Hey, play like me so I can make all the money. Play the way that I am best suited to so I can get a huge contract. Hashtag heat culture. Jimmy. Jimmy. You hate to see it. And you hate to see it to an organization like the Miami Heat. There was also some weird stuff about his flights, and he's like, nah, man, like 4 of those were like, whilst I was tending to my dad who was dying, and you're like, ooh, Jesus. But either way. there you go. He's been suspended. It'd be very funny if they get to the end of the suspension and he is forced to sort of come back and play for them again. That's probably the funniest outcome here, isn't it? As opposed to getting a trade. So, yeah. All right, other little bits and bobs of news. So, JJ Redick's rented house burned down in the LA fires. So, Wemby and Chris Paul gave some signed jerseys to his kids, because apparently JJ Redick's kids had lost a bunch of memorabilia and stuff in the fire. And please won't someone just pour one out for the rich kids of the Los Angeles Lakers coach. But still, they lost their bloody house. So yes, that's a very nice gesture from Wemby and Chris Paul. He did actually say, yeah, they're huge NBA fans. You'd hope, bloody so. I ran a podcast out of my home for 2 years. All the players would come through. They get a jersey or a card signed. They lost all that, so it was nice of them to do it. It really was, so that's pretty cool. Outside of this, a couple of little bits of injury updates, as I mentioned at the top. Franz Wagner, hello. He's out, still. Sorry to raise your hopes and dash them quite expertly there, Magic fans. But they're expecting to upgrade his injury designation from torn right oblique to return to competition reconditioning. That's nice. That means he'll be back, hopefully, fingers crossed, soon. Franz Wagner. God, I love the Magic when they're full strength, and they just haven't been since bloody Paolo went out 5 games in the season. And Aussie Matty T. I actually meant to read this one out yesterday, but they announced that Aussie Matty T. Matthias Tybal, the Blazers, they're like, yeah, he's going to continue rehabbing. He'll be reevaluated again in 2 weeks. So there's nothing sort of new going on with his ankle, but he had a very, very, very severe ankle sprain. So he's still just going to take a little bit to get back from that, as you can imagine. So fingers crossed he's back soon, because I love me some Matty T. And I'll tell you what, the Blazers would have loved to have had him out there for the last little bit, just a bit of trade bait, simple as that, because there are a lot of teams that could use an Aussie Matty T. Let's do some game wraps from today. Game wraps. Cleveland got some revenge against Indy and smoked them pretty handily, 127-117. I did change my pick this morning for this. I didn't actually do a video until after some of these games had started, but we swung that around to Cleveland after we found out that Tyrese Halliburton wasn't going to play. He was dealing with hamstring tightness. That was then apparently adjusted to a mild groin strain. And once again, somebody please check on Caitlin Clark. I'm just saying, is there Brian Windhorse fingers? Is there a correlation? Halliburton misses a game and they busted the stalker who was stalking Caitlin Clark? I'm just asking questions. Sure, there's nothing connected there. Nothing sus. But anyway, this is the Donnie Mitchell takeover. He was awesome in the first half. He had 27 in the first half. Evan Mobley went ham in the third quarter. Donnie finishes with 35, 9 and 3. They got 22 and 13 to Mobley and 24 and 7 for Garland. And the Cavs looked awesome. Cleveland are great. So they're back. Indy got 23 from Siakam, 19 for Benny M, who got tossed for bumping the ref. And after a hard foul against Mobley. And also, he got a tech earlier for hanging on the rim. And I've got some thoughts about that later on. Hashtag spoiler alert. Cleveland. A 34 and 5. That's pretty bloody good. 70 win pace, just saying. India 22 and 19. OKC absolutely obliterated. They got straight kilted Philly.
So he got straight killed.
118-102. They actually pulled this back. Like, they were getting their heads kicked in. They were getting booed earlier on. Were the Sixers. Why is that, Jim? Well, they didn't have any players, basically. Their starters today, the Philadelphia 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6ers, were Reggie Jackson, Eric Gordon, Kelly Oubre, Ricky Council 4, and Gershon Yabusele. Yabu! So they were missing Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Andre Drummond, Big Booty Larry, Caleb Martin, and a bunch of their other dudes. And you're like, oh, they've just got no dudes left. They were getting their heads kicked in. But then they fought back in that third quarter. And then OKC sort of just steadied them. SGA torched him. He had 32 points in like 3 quarters, and it was all over. J-Dub had 24. Justin Edwards, he's going to pop up again later, out of nowhere for the Sixers. Crushed it, 25, 6 and 4 off the bench. Good win for OKC, just a professional win. 33-6 for them. Philly, 15-23. Just year from hell for the Sixers. Phoenix came up short in Atlanta again. They've not won there since 2014, which is pretty amazing. 117-122, despite the Atlanta Hawks not having Jalen Johnson, Larry Nance Jr., or DeAndre Hunter. Hawks are up 8. They fell apart in the third quarter. Phoenix came flying back at him. Devin Booker's like, yeah, me and Kevin Durant are going to get this done. And then Trae Young hit a bunch of shots, and Vic Krejci just hit like a 3, I think. And they led again going into the fourth quarter, and then ripped off this 10-1 run in the fourth quarter. And Phoenix just fell apart. Like, it was crazy. Like, Booker ends up with 35. KD has 31. Brad Beal, the other part of this big three, air quotes, at 11 points and 3-9 shooting. 35, 31, 11. One of these things is not like the other. It's Brad Beal and he's shit. 43 for Trae Young, his season high. That was awesome. Went 6 of 12 from downtown. He shot 13 of 31. Bloody hell. But awesomely, a 22 and 21 for Onyeka Okongwu off the bench. Now, you might remember on yesterday's show, I'm like, look, I feel like the bigs of Atlanta could really, really mess up Phoenix. And then I still took Phoenix because never forget, I'm an idiot. Like, I'd literally just laid out the blueprint as how they're going to win. But yeah, I felt yesterday, well, this morning rather, when I'm like, hang on a second, no Jalen Johnson, no Larry Nance, no DeAndre Hunter, they've got no chance. Phoenix going to kill. Oh, no. Onyeka Okongwu had 10 offensive rebounds. Phoenix had 6 as a team. It's pretty good. Anyway, that's a record off the bench as well. No, I think that's for the Hawks. It's a Hawks record, 20 and 20 off the bench. Pretty cool. Phoenix now are 19 and 20. 19, 20, 20, 19, 20, 20. There's a bit of a fucking throwback. The greats. How good is it that I was a music journalist? I could just... Hey, Jim, do an obscure song from the thousands, would you? I've got you, pal. Thing is, so Phoenix in 1920. 19, 20, 20, 19, 20, 20. Flip it up and reverse it, 2019 for Atlanta. It blows my mind that 2019 is just like 6 years ago. Fuck me. Anyway, the Pelicans beat Chicago. Called this one. Vooch went bang early. He was dominating. Bulls are up 6 at the half. Levine hit a couple of threes out of the half. You're like, Jesus, Chicago going to put one on the Pelicans, even with Zion, the big rig, back. But they dragged themselves back into it, didn't they? Trey Murphy, CJ, DeJounte all hit threes. They get them back within 1 point in that third quarter real quick. And then they take the lead. And then they never relinquished it, basically. Fourth quarter, he got 4 threes from Jose Grand Theft Alvarado. He's just like, he hadn't hit a shot the rest of the game. Nails 4 threes in the third quarter, basically to put the Bulls to the sword. We had our man, Josh Giddey, as we'll talk about in the Australian Player Watch in a second, almost put up a triple-double, but have a horrible shooting game where he's just getting fouled left, right, and center and just like not getting any calls. But hit his first 3, then missed the rest of them. And bit of a rough one. He had 13 rebounds, 12 assists. Murphy was amazing, though, for the Pelicans. He had 32, despite going 2 of 13 from downtown, which is obviously a lot of his game. He shoots 9 and 20 overall. He went 12 of 12 on the line. Zion looked good. He looks fit. He looks strong. He's a hefty man, but he looks strong. 21, 7, and 9. It's just like bullying some of those Bulls around. The Bulls got 25 from Levine, 22 for Vooch, 22 for Kobe. They had 15 turnovers, though, and they just looked sloppy, and they couldn't quite get it done. Chicago, 18 and 22. New Orleans, 9 and 32. And amazingly enough, I believe, the Chicago Bulls, actually, they might be 19 and 22. I might just quickly check that. 18 and 22. And I believe, this exact same point last year, they were like 19 and 21, or 18 and 22, and the year before that, they were 19 and 21. So the more things change, the more they stay the same if you're a Bulls fan. Sacramento got absolutely worked by Milwaukee. That Milwaukee, it's Algonquin for the good land. That 7-game win streak is OVE. They're down 21 at the half. They're getting their ass kicked. And then they made a run. It's a game of runs. The problem was, Giannis had like 19, 6, and 5 in the first half, and it was just kicking their ass. And the Kings sort of got a bit out of DeMar, they got a bit out of Fox, they got a bit out of Suva, and no one else. Keon Ellis hit a bunch of threes. But then Milwaukee just like, that's cool. They got it back to 11 in the fourth quarter, did the Kings, and then Dame hits this beautiful jumper after a timeout. They get a stop. Lopez smokes a three, and you're like, yeah, game's back over again. And then Giannis just has this awesome little walk-up, just pull-up mid-range jumper, and you're like, when Giannis has just got the mid-range jumper going, you're like, yeah, pack her up, boys, you're done. 28 for DeMar, 20, 11, and 6 for De'Aaron Fox, 16, 10, and 9 for Sabonis, and Keon Ellis hit 5 threes for his 18 points. But, yeah, the Bucks matched them for made threes. 17, which is pretty good for the Bucks. 33, 11, and 13 for Giannis. He was incredible with a couple of blocks. Dame made 24 and 7, went 5-8 from deep. Lopez, Splash Mountain, 3-7 from 3, 21 and 5. Sacramento now dropped back to 500. They're 20 and 20. Milwaukee, so Algonquin for the good land because it's 21 and 7 now. 21 and 17, rather. What are you talking about? Then we had Denver just kick the absolute bejesus out of Dallas. 118-99. Wasn't even that close. That's a 32-27 fourth quarter, but this game was done skis after Denver put up, 71 in the first half because Jam and Jamal Murray just went absolutely nuclear. Nuclear. It's pronounced nuclear. 32 points on 12 of 15 shooting the first half. Jokic finishes with a triple-double, 10, 14, and 10 in 29 minutes. He was done early. Rusty has 9, 6, and 3. Porter Jr. has 13 and 6. But wow. Jam Jamal Murray finishes this game with 45 points and 6 assists. Went 5 and 9 from downtown, 18 to 26. This is the Jam Jamal Murray that you look at and go, God damn, Denver are going to be tough to beat in a bloody playoff series, aren't they? The thing is he ever going to rock up again? That's going to be the big question. For Dallas, Kyrie comes back, as I mentioned, the top 4 of 18 shooting, though. Yeesh. For his 11 points. They lose Derek Lively very, very early on to an ankle. But everybody else shot like dog shit as well. 2 of 10 for PJ Hamilton, Washington. 2 of 9 for Jaden Hardy. They didn't even get that little burst off from him. 3 of 8 for Klay Thompson for his 8 points. This was just an all-time smackdown from Jamal on the Mavs. They win at 118-99. Denver 24 and 15 now. Dallas 22 and 18. They need to get a couple of wins just to steady that ship to the Mavs. And then finally, Brooklyn got a stupid win up in Portland, 132-114. That's not how you tank, you idiots. 132-114. They put up 40 points in the first quarter. They got D'Lo back, so he came off the bench with Box Hill Benny starting. And when they came back in, he was, he came back in the fourth quarter just as Portland had made a little bit of a run to make this a little bit spicy again. And he just settled them down, got them over the hump. And it was a weird one for Brooklyn because you had Zion Williams, you had Cam Johnson came back as well as D'Lo. And Cam Johnson's amazing because he's going to be this big hot name in the trade market. And it's kind of games like this where it's why. He goes 10 of 18 for 24 points, 2 of 9 from 3. And it was pretty quiet, it felt like a lot of the time. Keon Johnson's 20 points were louder. Noah Clowney's 20 and 5 were louder. But still, the Blazers, the big story for them was Scoot Henderson was absolutely unreal. Couldn't miss, went 6 of 6, 7 of 7 to start off with, nailing all of his threes. He finishes with 39 points. Does Scoot. 13 of 18 from the floor and bloody 8 of 10 from downtown. He was awesome. They got 23 and 5 from Tamani Kamara. The problem was no one else could do much, especially my man, Anthony Penny-Simons, 11 points on 12 shots. Shaden Sharp was good late as well, 21 for him, but yeah, not great. Not great overall. No Denny Avdija. DeAndre Ayton was just bloody horrible. Yeah, the Blazers, I don't know, man. They're just... If you don't have Denny out there and you can't win because of that, that's a bit of a problem. The Nets, obviously, 24 for Cam Johnson. Keon Johnson, he got 20. Just too many Johnsons. They should call them the Brooklyn Peni. Anyway, there you go. They're now 14 and 26, the Nets. Portland, 13 and 26. That's just horrible tanking for Brooklyn. Horrible. Just egregiously bad. What are you doing? Idiots. All right. Anyway, let's fire up today's NBA Straya Approved Performance of the night. Hey, that's the wrong one, Jim. That's a whip crack. What are you doing? I don't know. I pressed the wrong button.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
All right, the NBA Straya Approved Performance of the night. We had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the Shy Redder. He had 32 points, 9 assists, 2 steals. He shot 12 of 15. Bloke just couldn't miss. Giannis had the 33, 11, and 13. That's his 50th triple-double in the regular season. Jam Jamal Murray throws in 45. Absolutely lit Dallas on fire. Trae Young, 43 points. He came on 13 to 31 shooting. And Scoot Henderson, 39, 4 and 6 with 2 steals, shot 8 of 10 from downtown, 13 of 18 from the floor. The youngest Blazer in history with 39 points and 8 made threes in a game. That was pretty good. Giannis, unreal. Murray, just unreal. Lots of good ones there. How about Spud of the night?
Spud, 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 it is Spud of the night.
Spud of the night. We had plenty of Spuds, didn't we? 1 of 6 for Ben Shepherd, my sweet baby Karis LeVert. Kelly Oubre went 2 of 10. I love the Kelly Oubre experience. Sixers fans, I love that they get the Kelly Oubre experience. It's he should be good. He looks good at times where you're like, this guy can score from anywhere. He's just got talent coming at the wazoo. What's wrong with his brain? Right? It's incredible. He's just one of the dumbest players you'll ever see play basketball sometimes. You're like, what are you doing, bro? 2 of 10 today. In a game where it's we've got no starters. Kelly Oubre, can you carry us? And he's like, you got it, boss. 2 of 10. It was just egregiously horrible. I think we had another one go 1 of 6, didn't we? Ben Shepherd, Karis LeVert, and Devin Carter. We don't really rag on rookies, though. 2 of 10 for PJ Hamilton, Washington, as I mentioned as well, and Josh Giddey, 2 of 12. 4 of 18 for Kyrie, brutal gear, and a couple of 3 of 13s from Bogdan Bogdanovic, as well as CJ McCollum. And then finally, at the very end of the day, we got 2 absolute crackers from D'Lo and Russell Westbrook. What did they shoot? Yeah! Chill! Woo! They shot 311, baby! Thank you very much, Rusty and D'Lo. Who was old mate no mates, though?
Old mate, no mates.
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 Who's got no mates today? Oh, Jimmy Butler. They traded all of my friends. Absolutely love it. They're just like, aw, but apparently, they traded all my friends. So he got sad because they've traded all his friends, and he's just like, this sucks. I don't have Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin. Just, they're all my favorite friends. Now I literally have no mates left because you traded away all my mates. So he is quite literally old mate, no mates. And that's been never more apt, I think. They literally traded all his mates away. Now he's sad. He's old mate, no mates, because he has no mates left. Now he's going, Pat Riley, trade me. Pat Riley's like, I don't care. Who are you? Pantsing of the night. Yeah, Benny Mathurin. Speaking of players who are a little bit, I don't know, dumb. He was hanging on the rim and he got a tee. You know me, if you listen to this show for a bit, I fucking hate refs giving wanton techs. He dunked. He was going it was a nice little pass back to him as well. It was TJ McConnell, I think, drops it off. He's coming along like a freight train. He jumps up, dunks it. Sick dunk in transition. Pulls himself swings and pulls himself back up so he can sort of land straight. And the ref's like, no, that's a tech foul. It's like, he's not fucking doing it to show off. He pulls himself up so he can fucking straighten out. What is he meant to do? Let go and just go blah, blah, and fucking snap his leg in half or some shit? Why are we punishing athleticism? This is just fucking... The NBA this is a self-pantsing by the NBA, and it's stupid fucking ref sometimes. He's got to get his feet level to the floor to avoid injury when landing, right? Why would you go, you pulled yourself up? It's like, yeah, so I don't fucking kill myself as I fall down, you idiot ref. And so anyway, he does some arguing and then gets tossed later. But still, Benny Mathurin, that's a bit of a pantsing by the refs, but also an NBA self-pantsing. Don't punish athleticism, you fucking morons. What are you doing? Anyway, better than Lonzo Ball.
Lonzo was the best player in high school. He was the best player in college. You think he'll get to the pros and be like, I made it to the pros, now I can be average. We're coming for everybody.
Coming for everybody. I'll tell you what, LiAngelo Ball, coming for everybody. BBO.
See me posted with the fam. See me posted with the brand. Y'all just do it for the gram. we do it for the fans. BBBO.
Yeah. Throwbacks. Lonzo was pretty good today for the Bulls, so coming off the bench. So Kobe White actually came back for them as well, as I mentioned earlier. So they were starting Levine, Kobe, and Josh Giddey. And so Lonzo comes off the bench. He had 11 points, shot 4 of 10, 3 of 8 from 3, 8 rebounds and 6 assists. That's really good. 1 steal and a block too. That's awesome. Unfortunately, it was not as good as Justin Edwards for the Sixers. The rookie, he was unreal. 25, 6 and 4 off the bench, shot 9 of 16 and 4 of 9 from 3. He had a steal as well. He was a +3, Justin Edwards, in 35 minutes in a game they lost by 16. That's incredible gear for the Sixers rook. Great job, Justin Edwards. Today, better than Lonzo Ball. And to be honest, we should probably just change this straight up to Bronny James because I just got to figure out the song. But still, great job. Better than Bronny James, better than Lonzo Ball, better than Ben Simmons. Justin Edwards, you legend. All right, let's do some quick yeah-nahs right after this.
This is Cam Glidden.
This is Anthony Drimmick.
This is Mitch McCarron.
This is Jason Giddey.
This is Daryl McDonald.
Hey guys, this is Hugh Greenwood.
Yo, what's going on? This is Ellie. This is Mark Worthington, or commonly known as Wortho, and you're listening to NBA Straya.
You listen to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya. And you're listening to NBA Straya.
To NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
All right, let's do some yeah-nahs. Number one, hang on. Is Scoot Henderson going to be okay? Yeah, maybe. That was pretty bloody good. Like, today's game was just one of those games where you're like, okay, maybe, just maybe. There's like a little bit of something there. So Scoot Henderson also, BT Dubs, was what? Pick 3 in 2023. He's 20 years old. Like, I think he might be younger than Bronny James. So, that's pretty cool. Like, he's the same age as, like, Cam Whitmore, Reed Shepherd. He's like, just, it's going to be okay, I reckon. He was absolutely gnarly today. Like, he was so good in that game. 39 points, 6 assists, 13 of 18 from the floor, 8 of 10 from downtown. It's games like this where you're like, right, that's why you're the number 3 pick. The weird one for them, I guess, is that, Penny Simons does play, Sharp plays. This is the Scoot we need to see more of. Can we just see this happen? He had 20 points against Dallas a week ago. He had the 19-18 run just after Christmas, back-to-back games. He had 22 in the season opener. And otherwise, though, like, this is the first time he's topped 30 all year, and he goes for 39. I still hold a little bit of hope. Because otherwise, though, there's been some absolute shockers. Literally, the last game, he had 3 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists in 21 minutes and went 1 of 6 against Miami. So, I don't know. But still, this is a good sign. I still believe. Hey, speaking of which, about the Blazers, was Channing Frye talking about DeAndre Ayton? Yeah, nah. Well, I mean, probably. Yeah, nah, yeah. So, Channing Frye tweets out some... What did he tweet? He tweeted... Here we go. I'm watching the Blazer game and it is gross watching a certain player absolutely fuck off his minutes is unreal. Please stop playing this person, Trailblazers. I think that's DeAndre Ayton, who played 24 minutes and managed to do sweet dick all. He had 1 of 4 shooting. He had 8 rebounds, a turnover, a foul, and was a -19. 2 points in 24 minutes. Yeah, I think he was. Hey, Brett Pierce yesterday had that really good idea, talking about expanding the idea of US versus world with the silliness of like the 4 teams that they've got this year. His idea was US, Europe, Africa, rest of the world. I think yesterday I was like, rest of the world, that'd be like just Australia. And then I'm like, hang on a second. Canada's not the US. Imagine the rest of the world team just combine like Australia and Canada. That's unreal. Suddenly you add SGA, RJ Barrett, Dylan Brooks, Lou Dort, Zach Edey, Shaden Sharp, Andrew Wiggins, all the Aussies. Boom. Outside of that, you got Karl Anthony Towns, Cam Thomas, DeAndre Ayton, Eric Gordon, Buddy Hield. There's a lot of the rest of the world guys, but yeah. Africa might struggle, though, to be honest. Like, it's a bit of a weird one because it's like if you give them Joel Embiid in the All-Star, you still got Siakam, Eve Missy, Kuminga. It's pretty thin on the ground, though. Mo Bamba, Precious, Monty Morris, George Niang. Euros, obviously, you're laughing. You're at Giannis, Wemby, Luka, Jokic, Lowry, Gobert, the Wagners, OG Anunoby, the Zinger, Sabonis, Sohan, Şengün. Like, yeah, you're laughing. So I think there's an idea there. It's pretty interesting. That's a good one from Brett Pierce. All right, unpopular opinion of the day.
Now look at me, please. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me.
I don't know how many times I have to keep saying this, but refs should be fined for every rescinded tech. Like, if you call an egregious tech that in the moment you're like, oh, that dude tech foul, but there's nothing in the back of your fucking brain going, actually, is it? Maybe that's not. $10,000. Boom. Every rescinded tech you get costs you 10 grand. Off you go. Pack her up, boys. We're done. And then finally, how about a bit of an Outback Takehouse? It's Wednesday, and at Outback, you know what that means. As Jim said, it's hump day. So guess what? We've gone to the Outback and killed some of those bloody feral camels. You know what that's good for? Camel hump soup. Only at Outback. It's a bloody great entree, I'll tell you that much. But don't listen to us, because entrees in America are actually your mains, which is just fucking stupid. Just like all of Americans. Just bloody stupid as, mate. They don't know their ass from their elbow. Why would you call a main an entree? Just call it a bloody main. What are you fucking doing? Anyway, camel hump soup only at Outback. And today's Flame Grilled take is the Denver Nuggets should be trading for Ben Simmons, or at least signing him next season. He's basically put him in that Russell Westbrook role, and you're winning another title. Only at Outback. So this is one that I got thrown at me the other day, and I'm like, yeah, maybe. He's just not as active as Rusty. But could you, then I thought about it a little bit more, and you're like, Ben Simmons, like, the problem is you can't afford him unless it's like on a minimum. What team out there is going to give Ben Simmons, in his current form, like, what sort of contract is he actually getting? Like the mid-level exception? The veteran exception? The minimum? Don't know. What are the Brisbane Bullets paying? But Box Hill Benny on the Nuggets in the Russell Westbrook role would just blow your mind away. Him next to Aaron Gordon defensively, holy shit. I don't know. Just saying, maybe if you're moving on Michael Porter Jr. for a couple of other role players that can shoot the piss out of it, you go get a Box Hill Benny on the cheap and away you go. Anyway, speaking of which, let's go do the Australian Player Watch right after. Let's listen to Hammer.
This is Shane Heal, and you're listening to NBA Straya.
All right, time for NBA Straya's Aussie Player Watch, Australian Player Watch for Wednesday, January 15, Hump Day. Love that. All right, let's start with Box Hill Benny, Ben Simmons. Actually got a bunch of the Aussies in action today, so let's start with Benny. In a very weird win for the Brooklyn Nets against the Portland Trail Blazers, that's not how you tank Brooklyn. What are you doing? Either way, Box Hill Benny played 26 minutes. Very nice. Always a good sign. Not so good was the 5 points of 2 of 6 shooting, but still, that's not too bad. He went 1 or 2 at the line as well. We also got 9 rebounds. Very nice. And 11 assists against only 2 turnovers for Box Hill Benny. That's pretty good. The 5 fouls, not quite so much, but still, that was a good win for the Nets, I guess, if that's what you want to do. The thing is, Ben started. They brought back D'Lo from an injury, and Benny was still out there with the starters, so that's pretty good. In that same game, we actually got Do-Up, Bop, Do-Up, the Great Barrier Reef. Do-Up Reef played 1 minute and picked up 1 turnover. Didn't trouble the scorers otherwise. And Aussie Matty T, there is an update on Aussie Matty T, Matisse Tybal. He has actually, basically, he's got a pretty tough right ankle sprain that he's been dealing with. He's going to continue rehabbing and he'll be reevaluated once more in 2 weeks' time. So just taking a while to get back from that ankle injury, is Matisse Thybulle. There was a very, very good video, though, that the Blazers popped out about him playing Jenga against some Blazers fans. Don't need an ankle to play Jenga. Elsewhere, Josh Giddey in a really tough 119-113 loss to the New Orleans Pelicans. He came very close to a triple-double. He shot 2 of 12. Oh, no. The thing is, he hit his first 3 and then missed the next 5. He ends up 1 of 6 from downtown, 2 of 2 at the line. 2 of 12 was brutal for his 7 points. So he ends up with 13 rebounds and 12 assists, 4 steals, and a block with only 2 turnovers. If only some of those shots had dropped, he'd have another triple-double. He played 34 minutes to our man Josh. There was even a sequence late in that game where he took a float up, missed it, got his own rebound, and missed the putback. He was fouled on both. Let's all be honest here. Either way, tough one for Giddey. 17, 13, and 12 with 4 steals and a block. That's a hell of a game. Not quite the triple-double there, though. The Great Barrier Thief, Dyson Daniels, was also in action as the Hawks got a big win over the Suns, 122-117. He was in foul trouble early, but finished with 9 points and 4 of 11 shooting, 1 of 3 from downtown. He had 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and, of course, 3 steals. Only 1 turnover there with 4 fouls in 34 minutes for Dyson Daniels. That was a really, really good win for the Hawks against the Suns team that is just kind of weird and a bit janky. Johnny Furphy, old Johnny Tins, actually got out there in the big, big, big Indy loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They lose by 10, so he got out there right at the end of the game for a little bit of a minute. He was a +4 in that minute, though. Zeros across the board. Didn't register a stat, but you'll take your +4. The same thing goes for Alex Dukas. He got out there for 2 minutes, but he got a rebound. How good is that? So he got a little bit of garbage time against that Philadelphia. I don't even want to call them the Sixers. That, if you go look at that starting lineup today for the Sixers, you're like, that's just horrible. That's a G League lineup. And of course, they beat them 118-102. So Dukas got out there, couldn't repeat his 3-pointer from earlier this week, but he did get a rebound to go these 0 points. And that's it for the Aussie player watch for today. A couple of them in action. Obviously, Dante, we had the update on him yesterday, so he wasn't out there again for the Mavs with his wrist surgery, still recovering from that. Hopefully, he's back soon. They did get Kyrie, which is, honorary Aussie. Back today. He had a bit of a rough shooting one, I'll tell you, but still. Not a bad day for the Aussies. Good to see Box Hill, Benny get out there. Josh Giddey, if he had to hit a couple of extra shots, he would have been laughing and on his way to a triple-double. But a good day for most of the Aussies. We'll be back tomorrow with more NBA Straya Australian Player Watch. All right, now it's time for an Andrew Gay's Grey Mamba Award for Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence.
Andrew Gay's Grey Mamba.
Outstanding achievement in the field of excellence. How is a bit of the Joker? I'll tell you what. So Jokic today, he has another triple-double. Of course, that's just what he does. But once he had 8 today, he went past a pretty random marker, but 15,000 points, 7,500 rebounds, and 5,000 assists. So he got his 5,000th assist. So he became the fastest player to do so because he did it in 709 games. Larry Bird was the previous fastest at 799 games. It took him 90 games less to hit that mark. And amazingly enough, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the only other center with 5,000 total assists. So that's bloody good. Nikola Jokic, absolutely bloody crushing it. All right, as I promised at the start, let's do a dramatic retelling of a great moment in NBA Straya stat history, aka the day that Chris Anstey, friend of the program, went absolutely bloody ham. Let's do it. Oh yeah. Press the button, Jim.
Great moments in NBA Straya stat history.
All right, let's do it. Oh, yes. 25 years ago today, dead set Aussie legend Chris Anstey, a.k.a. Stretched Out Larry Bird, pulled on his XLLL jersey. That's extra long, because he's a tall, stretchy, skinny bloke. And he came off the bench for the 5-28 Chicago Bulls and put in more work than a Coonabarra brand chippy in a loss to Dikembe Mutombo, Isaiah Ryder, and the similarly hapless 13-21 Atlanta Hawks. Boasting a haircut you could set your watch to, Big Chris had a razor-sharp performance in delivering the highest scoring game of his entire Bulls tenure. And on the 18 minutes, Anstey put up 19 points and summited Mount Matumbo like he was bloody Sir Edmund Hillary, while showing off his skills as a really tall Russell Mark and barely missing a shot. Nailing 7 of 11 from the field and knocking in a lazy 5 of 5 from the charity stripe. Pretty decent effort for a tennis player against a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, NBA Hall of Famer and noted finger wagger in Dikembe Mutombo. But not content with dominating like Wayne the Dominator Johnston on the scoreboard, Australia's answer to what if Zinger, but better, also added 5 man-sized rebounds and a single block on J.R. Ryder that still causes poor Isaiah to wake up in a cold sweat at least 3 times a week, 2.5 decades later. The thing is, as per bloody usual, the mongrel anti-Strayan refs were busy having a go at the former Southeast Melbourne Magic champ, slugging our Aussie hero with 5 clearly rubbish fouls. Well, 4 rubbish fouls, because he and Dikembe got into it and copped double fouls. But Big Chris at least then forced a jump ball. That was pretty good. Basically, if he hadn't been in foul trouble, we reckon Big Chriso easily could have scored 50. After all, even though stats are for nerds, his per 36 numbers were 38 and 10, and for the season, were an East All-Star level 15.5 points per game and 10 rebounds per game. Still reckons he belongs in the ring and the Bulls' Ring of Honor just for playing on those post-Jordan 1999 and 2000 teams, I'll tell you that much. Anyway, this was Anstey's 3rd highest scoring game of his entire NBA career, and he'd not better it again in the NBA. Because once the 2000 NBA season was done and dusted, having achieved his goal of proving to be one of the best big men in NBA history by dominating Dikembe, Anstey came back to Australia and decided to dominate the NBL for the Victoria Titans before going to Russia to dominate like Rocky in Rocky IV and also nearly die. That's a story you can read in his book, Tall Tales. Eventually, Big Chris returned to Oz and dominated the thousands by winning a couple more NBL titles and MVPs, and did it all while being a dead-set Aussie legend, and now by owning an awesome pub in the Hotel Trentham. On ya, Chicago Bulls legend Chris Anstey. There you go. Bloody nice dramatic retelling of a big, big day for a friend of the program, Big Chris Anstey. All right, let's do it. Let's do a bit of a Paddy Mills Game Day, Baller Game Day Twitter check-in. See what Paddy's been up to. Oh, Paddy with the good hair. Baller Pat. Nothing of late, so we'll just check his Twitter. There he is, Paddy. There's a couple of good ones there. Isaiah Collier wins it for the Jazz. I love that. Mountain Energy, Jazz win. And with a lob like that, you know he brought the energy. There's some really good photos of Paddy on that one too. So go have a look. In those awesome Utah Jazz jerseys. Right. Let's do some picks for tomorrow's game, shall we? What did we go today? Of the 6, we nailed... Let's have a look. We nailed OKC. We nailed New Orleans. We nailed Denver. So in 3 of 6. It's not great, but... Still, it's better than the alternate of less than 3. All right, but we have a big Thursday slate ahead of us as well. So let's get into it. We have New York at Philly. New York are only 5.5-point favorites at the moment. Maybe that's just like a telling sort of thing about maybe they were resting Paul George, Joel Embiid. Maybe they'll be back. I don't care. I'm still taking the Knicks minus 5.5 against this horrible Sixers team. Boston, like... Cat might be rested by the Knicks. You never know. He's got a bit of a bung hand, but it feels like the Knicks have that much more talent anyway. The Sixers will rise to the occasion, but before we look at this one tomorrow morning as we do the drop-off picks, we'll just check the injury report, but for the minute, we're going to take the Knicks minus 5.5. Then we have Boston at Toronto. Now, Toronto are just coming off a win against the stinky Golden State Warriors. God, that team is disappointing. They are 13.5-point underdogs against the Boston Celtics. Now, the way that Boston have been playing of late, how confident are you that they can cover a 13.5 spread against the Toronto Raptors? They beat the Pelicans by 1. They lost to the Kings. They smoked the Nuggets before that. They lost to the Thunder. I'm going to take a feisty-ish Toronto team at home plus 13.5. Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett and co. Chris Bobby Boucher went absolutely nuts in that Warriors game. Toronto, I mean, they got... Yeah, this is a tough one because Boston beat them by like 54 like 2 weeks ago. I'll take the 13.5 for Toronto at home. We'll see how we go there. Atlanta at Chicago. Both these teams played today. It's Giddey versus Dyson. How good is that one? Exciting times. This is going to be a fun game. Two guys that I hung out with last year. That was pretty fun. The Hawks are 2.5-point underdogs in Chicago. Chicago coming off the pretty tough loss to the Pelicans. I feel like Chicago's upside at home to just sneak out another win. But you know the Dyson's just going to go absolutely hammer and tongs on everybody. Trae Young was really, really good. I just don't know if the size of Atlanta is going to bother Chicago as much as it did the Suns today. So I think Chicago might be able to get enough out of Vooch, Levine, Kobe White, Lonzo, and Gids tomorrow to get a sneaky win. So let's go Chicago at home, -2.5. I don't feel confident in that one, but it's a weird matchup with both coming off a game today. So we'll take the home team. Then we have Orlando taking on Milwaukee. Speaking of teams who played today, the Magic are 5.5-point underdogs on the road. I might take Orlando in this one. They've got Paolo Banchero back. Milwaukee got a good win today. But, I don't know, the Magic just play tough. I'm going to take the 5.5 points for the Magic just because they are a pain in the ass. Mostly. But also, they're just really well coached. They're really tough to beat. And then we have Dallas at New Orleans, another pair of teams that played today. Dallas are 2.5-point favorites on the road in New Orleans. Pelicans managed to eke out the win against Chicago. Dallas are a better team than the Pels. But with CJ McCollum, DeJounte Murray, if Zion's playing a back-to-back, maybe, just maybe they're good. Trey Murphy was awesome. Dallas lose lively. I think I might have to go the Pelicans. I don't like this, but 2.5-point underdogs at home. Let's go the Pels. Because I wonder if they'll risk Kyrie with his back on back-to-back games. Yeah, Lively's a big loss for them. So let's go the Pels, +2.5. Only if Zion plays, though. Memphis at San Antonio. This is a fun game. The Grizzlies, -3.5 in San Antonio. I'm going to take the road favorites in the Grizzlies, -3.5 in San Antonio. The Grizzlies, look, they've just got a little bit of size, a little bit of speed. Desmond Bane and Ja Morant and co. should be a little bit too tough for that Spurs backcourt. So I'm going to take the Grizz. They are a tough team. They are a good team. So let's go Memphis, -3.5 in San Antonio. Houston at Denver. This is a great game as well. Denver on a back-to-back, but they did get a bit of rest because they kicked the ass of Dallas so extremely. But the Rockets are 2.5-point favorites in Denver, which is pretty crazy. And I'm still going to take them because I feel like this is a really good spot for Denver to really prove their sort of, contender bona fides by taking care of a upstart Houston team. But Houston, a little bit more rested. They've got the Terror Twins. You've got Şengün going against Jokic, Jam and Jamal Murray. You can just sick your battery of terrifying guards onto them. I feel like the Rockets might be able to get this one. So let's go Houston -2.5. But that is a great game. Then we have Charlotte at Utah. The Hornets are 6.5-point favorites in Utah. Utah are, I don't know, they got a win against the Nets the other day. I'm going to take Charlotte -6.5. LaMelo and co should be a little bit too tough. The Jazz just still beset with injuries. Golden State at Minnesota. This is an interesting one. The Wolves are 5.5-point favorites at home. The way that Ant-Man is playing at the moment, I'm going to take the Wolves. There should be a great battle between he and Steph, and I trust the Minnesota supporting cast just a little bit more, especially at home, than I do the Warriors. It's a bit of Andrew Wiggins against his old team, though. Oh, maybe we'll take Golden State +5.5, but Minnesota to win. Oh, I don't know about that. Golden State was so disappointing the other day. And if they get Draymond back, maybe. So let's go the Wolves -5.5. Then we have Miami at the Lakers. Oh, geez. The Heat are 4.5-point underdogs against the Lakers. The Lakers absolutely gave up the ghost the other day against the Spurs. I don't think they'll do that again. Miami weren't that good, actually, against the Clippers either. They just completely capitulated in the second half to the point where Kevin Love's tweeting out the 1,000 picture, and that's just a bit worrisome. The thing is, do Miami bounce back? Can they keep it close against the Lakers? Tyler Hero, I just don't know. Bam, maybe. I'm going to go the Lakers -4.5. I think they are in a better spot to bounce back at home with, the Fires sort of maybe, if they're just sort of getting a little bit more comfortable a day or two after having just played. So let's go the Lakers. And then the Clippers host the Nets. This is a 13.5-point line. Brooklyn, after a win today, I think they're going to get their heads kicked in by the Clippers, so we're going to go the Clippers minus 13.5. That's a big, big slate. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games on your Thursday. Wow. Luckily, we'll be here to wrap it all up for you tomorrow, huh? Yes. That is very lucky. In the meantime, make sure you're following NBA Straya on Twitter, Facebook, IG, TikTok, and of course, YouTube. These go up on YouTube every day as well. We're all over the socials. We'll have some other fun stuff going up today. Tomorrow, I reckon we'll try to do power rankings in the studio and some other fun stuff. Get around NFL Australia with myself and Gaz talking out the week 1 of the playoffs, setting up week 2, which is a big one ahead. It's a really good show, actually. Cricket Today podcast, Football Today podcast, AFL Today is back very, very soon as well. Hold all tickets for your GGs. Get around that. Chuck us all a rating on your Apple Podcast, your Spotify, YouTube, whatever app you use on your Android phone. That's all I ask. Seriously, I don't ask for anything else. Just rate, review, star, share it, subscribe with your mate's phone. I don't care. Go hammer and tongs. Help a brother out. Big thanks always go to From Oslo for the intro and outro song. They rule. So do House Hats, Joshua De Laurentiis, Fascinator, Gold Mines, Ramshackle Army, Iowa, Sextrator, Green, and Dozers. They're behind all the tunes you hear on the show. So smash them all in Bandcamp, Triple J on Earth, Facey, Apple Music, Spotify. Have you listen and support and follow your bands? Do that with them. That's it. We'll close out today's show with nothing. We'll catch you tomorrow, you dickheads. I gotta go. This is NBA Straya saying, look after yourselves, would ya? And let a Hosanna!